Ladies and gentlemen, this evening I'm joined by Ari Coester. Ari, how are you this evening?
Doing swell. And you, John?
I'm doing well. It's a little warmer down here in Ohio. Are you in Ohio or are you elsewhere?
I'm in Michigan. Don't come for me, please.
I thought that I read that you were in Michigan, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I am in Michigan. I'm a C. There are a couple of us in C3 who secretly live in Michigan.
Okay. Well, we don't want to rat those people out. We'll shh.
No, never. I fear for their lives if they're ratted out.
Yes, exactly. Well, I was going to say that it is a little warm here in Ohio, but Michigan's not that far, so I assume the weather is the same up there.
It's a nice start of fall weather. Not too warm, not too cold.
Well, you are the artist, the creator behind a entry for the C3 Hidden Histories anthology called "Once Ohio Was an Ocean." Can you give a brief little summary of the project?
Yeah. So it's a brief 2-page. It's not exactly a summary. It's more about, I think of it less of like a textbook entry and more like a museum diorama. It just kind of gives you a kind of like a visual overview of what Ohio would have looked like in the early to middle Devonian period, which is right before things really start to go on to land. So it's a really exciting period. And during this period, Ohio was completely underwater. It was a shallow sea.
See, I'm learning things every conversation I have with you fine folks with this anthology. I never knew that Ohio was underwater. I just never knew that.
It's been underwater a lot, actually.
Really?
Underwater and then on land and then underwater again and then on land again.
What was the cause? What was the catalyst for this constant shifting back and forth? Do you know?
Well, it really depends on like what time period you're looking on. But Ohio, the period I was writing about is Ohio was closer to the equator due to the drifting of the continents. So it was a lot warmer
Oh,
and a lot wetter. There's also so plate tectonics is a lot of what causes climates to shift and things to go underwater versus over water. I think one of my favorite facts I learned when I was researching this is after after the Devonian, we don't really have any idea of what lived in Ohio in prehistory because the glaciers scraped away all of the rock. So there is no fossil record for the entire period on which dinosaurs were on the earth. We don't know for sure what dinosaurs lived in Ohio.
obviously, you've done a ton of research.
Too much research. Too much. I think for every hour of drawing, there was at least 2 hours of research.
Wow. Man, oh man, you jumped into it.
Yeah, I was obsessive.
Can I ask, were you somewhat relieved when you were finished?
Yes, deeply and utterly relieved. I'm like, I thank God I never have to touch this again.
Well, why did you decide to do this topic?
Well, I'm an ecologist by trade. I got my degree in ecology and
Oh,
evolutionary
okay.
biology, and I love paleontology. So I decided I would write about paleontology, and Columbus specifically has a very rich fossil record for the middle to early and middle Devonian. So I'm just like, great, I'll do the one with the most complete fossil record. Originally, I was gonna do like a layer from a bunch of different eras in Ohio's history, but then I'm like, well, the entire Mesozoic is gone, so that's not very interesting.
Okay. So you've already shared one of the coolest facts that you uncovered. Was there something that maybe was it kind of on the other side of things? Like it was not cool to kind of learn this. Does that make sense? Like, the yin and the yang, so to speak. You found some cool facts and then maybe you found some facts that you wish you hadn't?
There wasn't anything. Well, I thought that this really cool fossil fish called Dunkleosteus, it's big, it's got a huge head shield, it's got really sharp teeth, and hunted sharks. It was the apex predator of its time. I was very excited to get to draw Dunkleosteus. Yeah, they didn't evolve till the late Devonian, so I couldn't put them in my comic, and I was
Oh,
really disappointed by that. And then I was also disappointed by how little there was so few. So in paleontology, when they redraw an animal based on fossil remains, they call it a reconstruction.
mhm.
There aren't a whole lot of reconstructions for the Columbus limestone animals. So I was having to like read papers and look at bones and try and figure out what this living animal looked like. So I think the thing I wish I hadn't learned was, oh God, people really don't do reconstructions for things that aren't dinosaurs.
Mm, yeah, I could see where that would have been a pain in the neck.
Yeah, so those were the two things. I didn't get to draw my favorite fish, which I really wanted to draw. And yeah, I wish I hadn't learned that there's not a lot of data for drawing other things.
Well, I think that in my research, you've stated that you're kind of new to the scene here
Yeah,
in Columbus. So far, how's the experience been?
I love it. Everyone has been so welcoming in Columbus and in the Midwest in general. Everyone has been so like kind and welcoming and really wants to help me as a young creative succeed, which I really appreciate, and I hope I can pass forward when I become old guard eventually, hopefully.
How has the experience been working with C3?
Awesome. Sydney is such a powerhouse, and our whole editorial team are such powerhouses. They're kind, they're supportive, but they're also incredibly organized. Like they get things done, which is great. It's super appreciative to be a part of a group like this.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Working as kind of, I don't know, I'm the adjunct AV guy, so to speak, for lack of a better term. Yeah, I got to say that the organization is top notch for sure in terms of when things are being done, when things are being released, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, definitely. Definitely, I agree with your statement.
And I appreciate the organization. I love that.
Well, since we're talking about C3, let's real quickly give me a moment before we continue talking, Ari, about yourself and some of your projects that you got going on and whatnot. I need to let some folks know about Crowdfunder because Crowdfunder is how we're making things happen, folks. Look, if you are old school and you were like, I was here last year, John, when we did the same thing, yeah, it's pretty much the same. It is. Okay. It's where tiers are going to be posted in the Crowdfunder, where if we can reach those certain tiers, page counts are going to be given back to the artists. So, for an example, if we get $2,000 in donations, that means everybody's getting $25 back. And Ari, I'm sure you could agree with me. Sometimes when you want to be very creative, sometimes it's very expensive. Am I right?
Yes, it's extremely expensive. You can help pay for my access to JSTOR so I can look up more things about more fossil fishes and draw them for you.
There you go. I mean, what more do you need? That right there should be worth you saying, I'm going to donate a couple of bucks and help out C3 because again, it's staying all here in Central Ohio. All right. And it's going to be given back to all these talented artists. And there's other tiers. I mean, we could talk about them. There's the 1675 tier where everybody gets $20 per page. 1350, you get $15 per page. 1050, you get 10%. But I'm just going to be that guy. I'm going to say we need to hit that $2,000 mark. There's no reason why we can't do it. Columbus, Ohio, you owe it to all of these fine folks, and you owe it to yourself because you're getting one heck of an anthology.
Everyone has worked super hard on this, and it's a lot of different topics, educational
Yeah,
topics. So it'll be super fun, and a lot of them are written by people who like educate for a living. So that's also really cool.
there you go, folks. So what are you doing? as soon as you're done watching this live stream, or as soon as you're done hearing this podcast, go over to all the social medias for C3. They'll have all the information about how you can donate, how you can get your hands on the anthology and whatnot. And you're doing a great thing. So if you need some good karma, there's another reason why you should donate. All right, let's talk a little bit, Ari, about you. I assume that much like many other creators, you were a creative kid growing up.
Yeah, I actually started. In the written world. I wasn't super an artist. I wrote stories
Oh,
for a
okay.
very long time, and actually went on to get a degree in creative writing and literature.
So when did you start dabbling a little bit in the art scene?
Well, I I just like I fell in love. I've always been in love with comics, but I always in high school I had a really hard art class, and I completely lost faith in my ability to draw. And then one day I just decided that, well, I'm not going to let the fact that I can't do a thing stop me from pursuing my dreams. So then I taught myself to draw. And then I taught myself to draw sophomore year of college, and just kept practicing every day. And now I think I'm semi okay with that. I really like the trilobites in the comic. You guys should all look at the trilobites. They're the best.
So I gotta commend you. That is to practice every single day, and I hear that a lot from creators. They're like, "Look, you gotta practice every day to keep those skills sharpened, to refine those skills, to even strengthen those skills." So I gotta commend you for that, because that takes a lot of effort. That I don't know if I would have that effort, if I would have that ability to put in the work every single day. So that's awesome.
Well, it helps when you're kind of not paying attention in your college classes.
Oh, shh, we won't say
Shh.
anything to the
No, stay in
professors.
school, kids. Don't do what I did.
All right. Why is it that you really enjoy drawing animals and monsters?
Oh yeah, that is 100% on my Tumblr page. I love animals. Have loved animals ever since I was a small child, and that's part of why I got an ecology and evolutionary biology degree. I love. I just think there are so many different animals on Earth that you never run out of something new and unique to draw. And I really love drawing monsters, because if I get sick of drawing animals, I can just take all the animal parts and do whatever I want with them.
Mm, good answer there on
And
that
I can
one.
make them spooky. I can make them spooky or sad and lonely. A lot of my monsters aren't actually scary. They're just kind of sad, or they're hungry. One of the two. It's either sad or hungry.
So, just piggybacking off of the idea of your love of animals, you said you grew up with a lot of animals. What were some of the animals that surrounded you?
I grew up rural, so I was just kind of
Ah,
like I always had dogs. Love dogs. I've had a tortoise since I was 14, and I still have them because they live a long time. And if you hear banging that could not be edited out of the recording on my end, my tortoise, who was sleeping all day, unfortunately woke up and decided that now, the time when I needed a quiet room, that he was going to bang around his tank. But I grew up with bugs. I grew up with coyotes in the backyard and foxes. So just kind of like everything, and then more on the TV.
okay. What do you mean by that? Just more seeing more animals
Animal
being.
Planet. All I did
Ah,
was watch Animal Planet as a child.
okay. So I was thinking of, like, more along the lines of how sitcoms would have the family dog or whatnot, but it's Animal Planet or bust.
All I did was watch Animal Planet until I was like 12, when I got introduced to Cartoon Network.
Okay. So then it was kind of a balancing act between the two.
Yeah.
What is one of the animals that you've never come across that you would literally give your right arm to maybe meet and see one of these animals?
That's really that's hard, because oh no, no, it's not. Pangolin. Pangolin. I would love to meet a real life pangolin.
Okay, you're gonna have to school me. I'm not sure I know what that animal is.
They're they're little and they're hunched and they're the most trafficked mammal in the world, which is sad. But they're covered with scales, so they look like a moving pine cone. And they have a very long tongue, and they eat primarily ants and termites. And the babies ride on their back. And we don't really know what they're most closely related. We know they're a mammal, but we don't know what they're most closely related to. And they look very very polite. And I've never met any. I think there's 7 to 8 species, and I've never seen any of them in captivity because they're super rare outside of Africa and Asia. Uh, and we live in America, so I haven't actually gotten to see a pangolin in real life, and I would love to see a pangolin in real life.
Can I ask why are they trafficked?
They're considered a delicacy. They're considered a delicacy in some parts of Southeast Asia, and their scales are used in traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay. I mean, the medicine makes sense, but you eat them? People eat them?
Mhm.
I'm gonna
You
be I'm gonna
scoop out all the belly meat, and then you eat that.
oh I'm
And
gonna
like
be
the
that.
tradition. Oh, sorry. I don't
No,
have to go into the traditional preparation process.
I'm just saying that. Look, I know I'm being a first world problem type of guy, like but that doesn't appeal to me. That sounds kind of icky. I mean,
Apparently, it's a
whatever.
very very soft flavor like pork because but the pangolin should stay in the wild and people they're endangered. People, please let's wait for them to be less endangered before we start
Yeah.
eating them.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. In fact, don't even eat them ever. Just have them around, okay? Don't ever eat them. Uh,
So
so
I would love to see a pangolin.
okay, all right, cool deal. Your Tumblr, it is called Bubblegum Punk. Is there a story behind the name?
Uh, it was a webcomic that I think about launching all the time and then never do. Uh, that's like kind of the header I've got. Uh, so no, there's not really a whole story behind it. Besides, I think about launching this webcomic all the time and never do, and maybe I will eventually.
Okay. Do you have a brief little synopsis of what the webcomic will be about or is about?
It's about a bassist who was kind of on top of the world, like their band was getting signed, and then they end up in a really traumatic their band ends up in a really traumatic car accident and kills their best friend. And it's about them finding a new band of like kind of like two young idealistic teenagers and trying to like rebuild from the wreckage of grief and all of the things that happen when someone dies suddenly and traumatically, especially like in your creative career too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Reminds me a lot of the Metallica story, to be honest with you, with Cliff Burton being killed and having to replace him.
Oh wow. I didn't
So
know much about Metallica's history.
yeah, they did. It's something very similar to that. That they had a bassist that was killed in a bus accident, and he was the one that was killed. The other three members made it out pretty much unscathed, except for a few bumps and bruises. And then they found Kurt Hammett, and kind of they talk about in the documentary that I saw how like subconsciously they were all still very angry at what happened, and they took it out on Kirk. So it was like kind of like there was this little whole part of the documentary where it was like, why am I sticking around when these guys treat me like crap, you know? But it was the way of them trying to work through their grief, and it was really interesting. I will give it credit there. That's the first thing that clicked in my head when you mentioned the plot of your webcomic.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of creating things such as webcomics, who or what are your inspirations?
Ooh, that's yeah, that's a really good question. I think the most exciting team working right now for me personally is Sana Takeda and Marjorie Liu, who are the creators behind Monstrous and the She Eats the Night trilogy. The way that they write and draw together, I've never seen a team more in sync than that and more interested in more interested in the subjects that I'm interested in, which are largely how do we still be good people in the face of horrible circumstances, and what is a quote unquote good person.
Okay. All right. So very deep and philosophical. That sounds pretty interesting. Who are the artists again and the writer?
Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda.
Okay. Okay. Huh.
And I think those are I think that's like one of the most important teams right now. And then the work of Kazu Kibushi, who wrote the Amulet series, but I think has been even more influential with his work on the anthology Flight, which has launched a bunch of really good creatives into public light since the early 2000s.
Okay. Cool. You have any new projects coming soon?
I've got 2 kids lit graphic novel pitches that I'm working on right now, and they'll be live in October, and I'm very excited for that.
Okay. Cool. So you said 2 children's lit?
It's called Kids Lit Graphic Novel, and one's going to be a YA pitch, and one's going to be middle grade.
Okay. Cool. So how did you come about to start piecing together those tales? Or was it just something that you were doing maybe while you were sitting in class or whatnot?
Well, it's really embarrassing, but one of them was
Oh,
inspired by a Tumblr post
oh, okay.
that said, "It's rude not to blink hello to the big night cat." And then I'm like, night cat. And then I made a cat god. And then I made a child of the cat god who'd never met her. And then I'm like, oh, there's tension there. That's fun.
You know
And
what?
then I made a world around that.
And I gotta say, I think that I saw that cat god on your Tumblr. That was a really unique piece of art.
Oh yeah, that's really early concept art from 3 years ago, back when I started working on this and thought it was going to be a 7-page zine, and now it's 200 pages. So
Okay. How thoughts and ideas spiral and bring benefits to the creators, and sometimes sometimes heartache too. I imagine with trying to come out with all those pages. 200 pages is a lot.
yeah, well, I don't know if it's exactly 200, but it's over 150, so it's somewhere in there.
Okay. Well, let's talk here real quick. A couple of other quick items here, Ari, and then we'll start plugging the crowdfunder one more time. Do you have any appearances upcoming? I know we're getting close to the end of the year. There's not a lot of conventions or public appearances for folks or whatnot. Whether they're at a bookshop or comic shop or whatnot. But do you have any coming up?
Nope, just if people find me around town.
Okay. We want to plug your social medias.
Yeah, I am A Coester _ comics on Tumblr, and I'm coming out with a website soon, so stay tuned.
Okay. Creating websites. That's a daunting task sometimes.
I do not like it.
Have you done it before?
No, but I'm super unprepared. I'm just like, artists need websites, so you have to make one.
Okay. Well, with that, it's time one more time before we get on out of here to talk about the crowdfunder. As I mentioned before, it is a great opportunity to help out these great artists who are independent. They don't have a multi-million-dollar corporation backing them, at least as far as I know. I don't know. Okay, Ari doesn't have $1 million, billion dollar.
I don't have $1 million corporation. The tortoise might, but if he is, he's not telling me.
Well, how dare him?
Right? He doesn't even pay rent.
I say the same thing to my cat, Lady. I'm like, you shouldn't just give me those dirty looks all the time. I give you a place to live. I give you a place to eat, a place to hang out. You run the whole show here, so sometimes people, sometimes pets are they're extra. That's what I'll say. But nonetheless, again, let's get $2,000 in here so everybody can get $25 on their page rate. I mean, again, it's a great opportunity to get into indie comics. If you're maybe like, I've never tried out an indie comic, grab this anthology. As Ari said, there's a variety of different art styles. There is a variety of different subject material. And again, I've learned so much, including that Ohio was underwater for a long time. I learned that as I sat down and spoke with Ari. So you can learn a ton of stuff too.
And the art's pretty. You can look at it. You can enjoy the pretty art.
That's right.
Think of I know one comic has a bunch of really cool bears. And also, once again, plug in the trilobites.
Hey,
Love the trilobites.
there you go. What more do you need, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, other than maybe someone from the C3 staff coming over and pushing you over to your desk and making you punch in the URL code and getting one hand, strong arming you. We don't want to do that. That's not nice. That's not polite. We don't want to do that. We want you to just of your own volition plunk down some cash to help out these fine folks. Again, keeping the funds here in Central Ohio. And I'm starting to ramble, so we're going to start wrapping things up here. So, Ari, anything you want to say to anybody who's watching the feed here or listening online?
Just to have a lovely night, read more comics, and enjoy the nice weather.
There you go. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back with more interviews from the fine folks at C3.